Can you guys hear me?
Hi, yes, how are you?
Awesome. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Good, doing well.
Good. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good.
Finally
you-
get some good melt going here.
Some good melt? Is that what you said?
Yeah, our roads have been frozen
Oh,
last
Wow.
week. So it's all melting today. We're hitting the 60s and we're getting into the upper 70s later.
Yay!
hey. Yeah, we don't have all that ice or not ice, but salt and sand and all the stuff those northern states have for the weather.
Yep. We just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, we just stay inside and hide, isolate.
That's something I can't get used to. I came from Pennsylvania 7 weeks ago, and I'm like, how is this place so paralyzed? Like, we're up and running in an hour.
Yeah. We just aren't ready for it because it's not so common.
Right.
And yeah, it doesn't happen very often. So
And then we're idiots when it comes to driving in it.
we're just stuck in it for a couple of days and then it goes away. Hi, Pete.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well. Just trying to, this is my third Zoom this morning, or I guess afternoon now, so
Yuck.
yeah, well.
At least this one's interesting.
I
Guaranteed.
won't share that with the other ones.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Ben. Thank you for joining.
Hey, Brandy.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hi. All right. Today we're going to talk about the deliberative strength. Do any of you on the call have deliberative as a top 5 strength?
I do.
You do, Ben?
Yes.
It's my number 6, so I relate a lot to it as well.
It's my number 4.
Okay. All right. So this is one of the more rare type of strengths. Something really popular that you see all the time would be something like achiever, relater, learner, but deliberative is only found in a person's top 5 strengths 11% of the time. So you can kind of think of like 90% of the population doesn't have this as a top 5 strength. Therefore, they don't necessarily relate to it. And when we look at the Gallup leadership domains, we can see that it falls into the purple domain, which is the execution domain. I have studied this strength a lot, and I have it. So of course, I think about it a lot for myself. And I think it splits the strategic thinking domain and the executing domain, because what it does is it does a lot of thinking, a lot of deliberating, a lot of contemplating before it makes a decision. And then it makes a decision and it acts and it executes and it goes. So I really feel like it kind of has, it's a hybrid of both the green and the purple area, the strategic thinking and the executing. When we look at the strength zones, its primary function is in the evaluative zone. Because again, it does a lot of thinking, a lot of deciding, a lot of ensuring quality and accuracy, and that, that the right decision is being made. Okay, and that should be an 11% there. I'll fix that before I send it out. 11%. And so here's the main traits. People with deliberative, they anticipate obstacles and they take serious care when making decisions. So just think about, if you really have to just sum it up, it's predicting what could go wrong, and it's making sure I make a good decision so that I am, avoiding those risks and being more cautious. It's kind of a break for impulsive people. It's the people that say, hold up, wait a minute, let's just think about this before we actually move forward. So what I have seen is that a lot of people with this strength gravitate towards things like cybersecurity, privacy, confidentiality type work. Ben, what do you do?
I'm an incident manager, so I manage incidents. It's not security, but
Yeah.
there's security stuff that can get wrapped up in there. I'm literally reading every single bullet point here, and I haven't found one that's wrong.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up, because if you have this in your top 5, then most of these are going to apply. If you have it at number 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, you start losing some bullets, right? Some of them are true and some of them are false. By the time you get all the way down to 34, all of them are false. And that's really important. That's a really important aspect of Gallup's CliftonStrengths assessment, is that it puts the strengths in order. And if we have the strength at the top, we're going to associate most with all of the description of the strength. If we, of course, have it at the bottom, we're not really going to relate with that strength.
Yeah, there's literally one bullet. It's the very last one that I don't agree with. Everything else, I would agree pretty strongly with it.
And what that tells me is that you have other strengths at number 1, 2, and 3 that might override some of those things. So for example, if you also have relator,
That's number 2.
then you are open and transparent and happy to share. But if that had been flipped, right, where the deliberative is stronger than the relator, you would be more private, more conservative, more concerned about confidentiality, et cetera. Okay, so order really matters in this assessment because it changes, the exact outcome of the person. So what I have found is that when deliberative is paired with analytical, it's highly intensified, because now not only are you deliberating your decision, but you're also analyzing.
That's my number 3.
Hey, I gotta say, Ben, you and I are so far lockstep. Thank you. All the same.
Pete, what are your top 5?
I've got learner, relator, analytical, deliberative, and then focus.
Ben, what are your top 5?
Mine's achiever, relator, analytical, deliberative, strategic.
Okay. Yeah, so some similarities, but in totality, you guys are very different in what you focus on. Pete would focus on process improvement, where Ben with his strategies focuses on the big picture, big strategy. So although you guys have some similarities in your approach, you also have some different focuses. Okay, I've also found that when deliberative is paired with intellection, it is intensified. These are my numbers 6 and 7, deliberative and intellection. And so not only are you deliberating and thinking about the decision, but you're also exploring the different perspectives and the different philosophies and the different methodologies to really make sure that you're coming at it from all angles. That's the intellection. And then if you're someone with deliberative and restorative, you're focused on what's broke, you're focused on what's wrong, you're focused on what could go wrong. You're very detailed, trying to get to that root cause. So that person is really intensified as well when it comes to looking at what is wrong or what could go wrong. And Ben, you are intensified again because of your strategic. Okay, because strategic is thinking through all the what if scenarios. What if this, what if that, what if this, what if that, well, if this and this and this and that. Well, your deliberative is going, this could go wrong, this could go wrong. These are all the problems or the issues that we could have if we do this. And so you've just got this really strong, predictive, forward thinking, intense personality to make sure that you really, truly are making the best decisions. And what's interesting about this combo, though, is that strategic is a big picture, sort of intuitive, entrepreneurial type thinking, where deliberative is really in the weeds, detailed, calculative type thinking. So you have both.
No wonder I can't sleep at night. I pulled up my top 10 because I didn't have that like off the top of my head. My intellections, my number 7, and restorative is my number 9.
Whoa,
So
you poor guy.
yeah.
That's so intense. Yeah, so what that tells us, everybody, is that Ben is just really good at what he does. Everything on the screen describes what Ben does well. Okay, what we find is that deliberative is most frequently paired with responsibility. And that kind of makes, yeah, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, responsibility is being a responsible human being. Deliberative is to make really good, sound decisions. So it makes sense that they are close. What it's never paired with is woo.
My number 32.
Yeah, and influencing, winning people over, being loud and out there and social. Deliberative people are far more conservative and, you know, not necessarily gravitating towards crowds of people. When deliberative get paired up with achievers, there can be some friction. Now, luckily, Ben, you have achiever too, you said, right?
Yeah, it's my number 1.
Okay, thank the Lord, because that means you easily move forward as well, because you just like to get things done. But an achiever with a deliberative person can really add friction, because an achiever's wanting to move fast to get things done, and a deliberative is like, hold on, wait, we can't execute until we know absolutely sure this is the right thing to do. Same thing with an activator. Activators want to go, 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 go. They act first, think later. Deliberative, think first, act later. Complete opposites. Again, just like woo, communication are very extroverted, social, communicative, where deliberative are typically more introverted and private, a little bit more serious, cautious. So you can have some friction between those personality types.
So if you have, oh, I'm sorry, Brandy, I thought you were pausing.
Go ahead.
Well, because I have deliberative, I can't remember exactly where it is, but I know it's top 15 because I've seen it on there before. But you're saying, so if I have woo and communication is 1 and 2, does that mean that just wipes deliberative off the map?
It just means that if you have to take a prioritative stance, you're definitely going to choose to be woo and communication first, not cautious, not
Right,
private.
okay. But it can still show up in other
It
places.
overrides. It could,
Okay.
but you know, honestly, guys, anything below your top 10 doesn't really show up very often. And if it shows up, it minimally shows up, and it's kind of like, you can think of it as it shows up on average. It's not like a stellar performer show up. It just maybe kind of influences or shows up a little, or we have to dig real deep to get there. Like Brad, you would have to really stop yourself, right? Just be like, let me stop. Like, you'd have to tell yourself, let me stop for a minute and let me think. It's not your nature. It's not your reaction. It's not the thing that you automatically do.
Right. Okay. So if you found someone like woo number 1 and deliberative number 3, you just want to put them in a lab and study them because that's an anomaly.
Well, yeah, that's an anomaly. But what's cool about that, because you do have anomalies, what's cool about that is they're going to say, hold on, wait a minute. But I also want to talk about this socially. Like, I want to talk about what's going on, and I want to talk about what I'm thinking. I want to talk about what I'm deliberating. I want to communicate that. And, you know, so like, it can happen. It's just not the norm.
Sounds like the perfect candidate for a reality TV show.
Yeah, I suppose so. Or I was thinking more of like a cybersecurity talk show, you know?
Okay.
Like a podcast, because then you're talking and you're being social and you're communicating, but you're talking about the thing that you're interested in, which is the security.
And that's much better than a reality TV show. Personally, so let's go with that.
Again, just like achiever, competition wants to move really fast, so anybody slowing them down is gonna cause some friction there. And then just like we talked about, relators are really open, where deliberative are typically private, so that can cause friction between two people.
Okay, I have a question, Brandy.
Yes,
I have 3 of those in my top 5. on
Three
the
of-
previous page. Relator,
Uh-huh.
competition, and achiever are in my top 5. But then
Okay.
I have deliberative as number 9. That sounds
Uh-huh.
like massive conflicts.
Well, you're not going to have conflict with yourself. This is
Oh, I
conflict-
might. You don't know me.
This is conflict with someone else. If you inside yourself, you're going to have more. It just means you're going to have more balance, because you can stop yourself and think before, you know, like, let's say for you, I'm sure where it comes into play is if you have a really big decision. Like if you're buying a house, you might stop and think a little bit harder before you actually achieve or activate or, you know, win. Because it's a huge decision.
Typically write out pros and cons.
Yeah,
Literally.
exactly. Because it's just such a big decision. Now, on little decisions, you probably don't do that.
No. That's the first thing I evaluate is what's the price if this is a bad decision. If it's nothing, flip a coin, you know.
Yeah.
Keep moving, not worth my time.
And do you have strategic too as number 5?
All that is number 4.
Number 4. Okay.
So I've got achiever, competition, relator, and strategic in the
Yeah,
top 5.
Strategic is that great prioritization one, right? It can just quickly look and see, does this need to be deliberated or can we take action?
Okay, so that keeps it from getting out of control.
Well,
Okay.
it's just how it is, right? You've got the strategic that prioritizes and it helps you go, when should I just take action or when should I stop and think? And you've got both skill sets to be able to take action and to stop and think. You know,
Okay.
some people just don't have that. Some people have it, some people don't.
Okay.
Comment.
Makes sense.
Brandy, I have a
Susan?
comment. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So, what was I going to say? And earlier that slide that had the slow to change. Where am I? I'm 12 deliberative, but I feel like in reality, it's much higher. And I think some of this is founded in people I have worked for that have been, it's not so much, it is the result, you know, you want to make the right move, anticipating what could go wrong and I have had to do that in a couple of roles, given who I worked for. Somebody who is not very, I don't know, he wasn't positive, he was negative, you know, looking at the glass, everything was always empty and ready to go wrong. So I had to think things through to understand not only what was good for everybody, but what his reaction would be. And since he was so high up, it was like, I gave it extra time to really think it through and to really have answers.
And I think what you all have to do is look at what other strengths you have
Mhm.
that could be causing the behavior. Okay. Because like, let's go back up.
My behavior?
So look, yeah, because you have analytical really high.
Yeah,
So you
it's 6.
you are going to analyze and
Yeah.
analyze and analyze and analyze, right?
Yeah.
Now, luckily,
Yeah.
you've got achiever in your top
Yeah.
5 as well. So
Yeah.
thank the Lord, you
Yeah.
you move things forward too, and you don't get
Mhm.
analysis paralysis.
No.
But you know, it may not be your deliberative that's really coming into play, but it could be more of your analytical and going, I'm analyzing this situation. I'm analyzing that he needs this, and I'm analyzing that this is volatile. And so I'm, you know, understanding that I need to act this way or do this way or do this way. Because deliberative is really only coming into play when you're making a decision.
And that's what I had to do in that role, was make decisions given like the overall goal, but make sure to have all the answers when I made that decision, because it would come out of left field. It was just not normal after a time.
Yeah, and having all the answers is analytical.
Right.
That's your analytical strength at
Right.
play. When they're so close together too, it's really hard to
Right. But for other people, in other ways, I wouldn't have taken that extra time. And I could see
Sure.
the answer right away.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, just get it done. But I can't just get it done because I have this person in the background that's
Mhm.
just way, he's
Yeah.
more active when things go wrong. He's a punisher.
So let's ask you
So-
this, Susan. So
Yeah.
do you feel like that was a lot of energy to do that?
Energy in the way of what? I mean, I didn't mind doing it because it's what I do anyway. Like you said, I analyze the situation, I find the answers, and everybody, I don't want to make a quick decision because I want to be sure that that's the best decision, whether that means 20 minutes, an hour, or the next morning.
Mhm.
It took a certain amount of energy in a certain way. I wouldn't say it was positive energy. For the
Mhm.
most part, everything else ran smoothly. But when it came to him, it would just come up with some weird stuff over
Yeah.
time.
So
And so I had to add that to my list of, are we sure? And when I said, we've explored 3 options. Okay, this is the answer I have the alternatives and they were not the best option.
Yeah.
So,
I think for Ben on the call,
Yeah.
Sort of the analyzing and deliberating probably is a lot faster in his
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
And it's not so much energy, because both of those are just so high, and it probably feels more like just a natural process,
Yeah.
rather than I had to do this at this time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I mean, normally you go through all this and you don't have that extra piece just,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Yes.
haven't had that since. So now I just,
Right. And I appreciate the point you're bringing up, because what it brings up to us is that we can all do a lot of things, right? It's not about what we can and can't do. It's about how much energy does it take us to actually do something. And when the thing falls into the realm of our number 1, 2, and 3 strengths, it's pretty easy to do. Whereas the lower and lower we go, and we have to do this thing that we're not either used to, or we haven't had a lot of practice, and it's just not natural to us, it just becomes a lot more energy. It doesn't mean we can't do it, and doesn't mean we can't do it well, but it takes a lot more energy. And I think it's really important for all of us to think about that, especially for those of you who manage employees. When you're asking someone to do something in their 12th strength area, they can do it, but it just takes energy, and it's not necessarily fun. Whereas when you ask them to do things that focus on their top 5, they feel good about it. They feel energized. It feels interesting and fun.
Randy.
Yeah.
I see this as a reminder too, that these are 34 strengths, not 10 strengths and 24 weaknesses, right?
That's right.
It is what is the effort take to execute in that particular strength. And if you're in the 15, it's going to take more. You can do it. It's just going to take more.
That's
and
right.
as you go down the list, I think, so that to me was just a reminder of we all have 34 strengths. It's some that are more natural, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how the rest of you think about it, but like, if I look at context for myself, which is clear down in the bottom, it does not feel like a strength to me at all, because I don't care. And I don't want to spend my time studying history books. And I know there's people out there that are way better than me. So why would I spend time there? So I don't think of it as a strength at all by the time it gets super low. But
I think, sorry, I was going to say, I think also having responsibility at 5, that enters into the previous scenario where the deliberative, which I feel like I do because of certain situations in my life, I'm always weighing that, just gave me, it was like extra caution.
Yeah.
I wanted to get it done. I needed to get it done. I actually knew what I wanted to do, but I wanted to have the best answer hanging out there when this person was like, it's almost like, it was almost like a challenge. Tell me why you did this.
Yeah.
So, and you can't do that all the time with everybody, but when you have to, those are the steps I took. So
yeah, you were prepared. Yep.
Yeah, tried to be.
Yeah.
But it is, sucks out energy, definitely.
So the deliberative strength may also butt heads with positivity and woo as well. And again, it's just because for deliberative, if someone is really lighthearted, it can be seen as maybe not credible, right? It's kind of like, why are you so happy? You know, why are you acting so social? Why are you trying to win me over? Why are you trying to influence me? So they just get a little, they get a little cautious around those types of people. Who they do connect best with are other analytical people. They connect really well with consistency people because consistency are just even keeled, they're practical, they're not over the top. They kind of pull everything back down to reality, which deliberative appreciate that realism. They connect well with input. You know, input gives deliberative a lot of information that deliberative can consider to make good decisions. And they also connect really well with other intellects because the intellects are considering multiple factors, the deliberative are considering multiple factors, and they can deliberate and talk and discuss these various things. They connect great with learners as well, because again, they're learning from the learners and then taking that, whatever they learn, into their methodology frameworks and approaches to make good decisions. They connect well with highly responsible people, and then the people that are looking out for how to solve root cause problems. Okay, if you really want to upset a deliberative person, you know, put them in a situation where they have to answer on the spot, they feel rushed, they don't have time to think, they know they're most likely making a bad decision or they're afraid of making a bad decision. You know, these types of situations are not good. So they're not someone that you want to put on a frontline customer service desk where they have to just adapt and adjust to that moment situation and make a decision like this. That's not the right area for them. They're the ones who need to be valued, you know, where someone says, look, we need the best decision to be made here. So please go take your time, think about it, gather all the data you need to, do the research you need to, so that you can give us the best decision at this time. That's the kind of situation they excel in. You will notice that when you are speaking to a deliberative person, they will pause before answering. You know, they think about things before they say it. So one, it's a good way to pick up on a deliberative person, is those people that just pause. But number two, when someone does that, just let them pause. Don't try to fill the silence. Let them think, and then let them speak. And that's a great way to hear somebody's thoughts who's deliberative, who actually might have a very good solution or decision or thought. A lot of times you don't get to hear the wonderful thoughts coming out of a deliberative person because you want an answer now and they're not talking fast enough, or you think they're stupid because they're not listening. Like whatever it is, it's wrong. You know, deliberative people are extremely intelligent. They think really hardcore about what they're going to say, what they're going to do. Their actions that they take are very deliberative. And I know for those of you who are deliberative on the call, this has been a problem for you, because when you grew up, you thought everyone was as deliberative as you. So when someone took an ill action against you, you went, why would they do that? You know, that was so cruel. They intentionally did this. And you're going, you know, and then you become, you know, more mature and you go, no, they just aren't deliberative. That was not a deliberate action. They didn't even think about it. They had no clue what the impact of that action was. And then we start to go, oh, some people are deliberative and deliberate about their words, choice of words, their actions, and other people are not. Has anyone else had that situation?
Well, I can't speak to my child. I don't remember, but I can say that for sure. You know, I've plenty of times I've been like, why on earth would this person do this? Like, this does not make any sense, and it probably happens at least every other day. I'm like, what is going on here? Why would you do this?
Yeah,
Just doesn't make sense.
And I wonder. Let's ask Ben. Let's ask everybody on the call. Do you guys all think that? Does everybody have that thought every other day? Is that like a human question, or is that a deliberative question?
I would guess that people have that thought, but I don't think people get hung up on it as much as someone like I would. Like, to me, I'll sit there and I have to try to analyze, like, what could possibly have made this person. And then I sit there and I get stuck in this little, almost this feedback loop. Like,
Yeah.
okay, now I need to understand how you came to that
Sure.
decision or why you did what you did.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have to step back and realize they just weren't thinking.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think you're also getting into your analytical, right? Because the minute you start asking who, what, where, when, why, how, that's the analytical strength, asking those questions.
And I have deliberative as my number one. And I have come to realize that most people just don't think about what they do. And I don't take hardly any of it personally anymore. I don't take anything
Right.
personally. I just realize they aren't thinking about this. It's just a known at this point.
Yeah, it's only 11% of the population that really stops to think about the decisions they're making and the impacts, that they're going to have. Now, I don't want to say that everybody else doesn't do it, because other people do it. They just do it from a different place. But deliberative have a very proactive, instinctive thought process around this.
This explains a lot.
Good.
Seriously.
Glad it's enlightening.
You just changed my life.
That's what I love to hear. I'm changing people's life on a Monday morning.
89% that don't ever think before they do something.
So deliberative love to hear things like, oh, you make such a good decisions. Thank you for taking the time to make such a good decision. Thank you for being so thoughtful. Thank you for caring. Thank you for taking such deliberate actions. Any of these types of things, the deliberative personality feels pretty good about what they've done. They really just want to know that they've had an impact. They don't need a lot of accolades and acknowledgement, but they do like to hear that what they have done has made a difference.
So what's the opposite of deliberative?
Activator is definitely an opposite of deliberative, as is woo.
Okay, those two for sure.
Mm-hmm. When they hear things about themselves like, you're so serious, or you're quite standoffish, or you're too quiet, and you're what's the one I was just thinking of?
How about too logical?
That's analytical.
Oh, I thought maybe a tinge deliberative.
No, it's analytical.
Okay.
It's really hard when you have analytical and deliberative close by to to understand the difference. They feel the
Yeah.
same, but they're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
There's one I've been told that's not on here. Oh well, it's gone. But anyway, oh no, it's here. You seem afraid to act. So, deliberative people might be told like you are afraid to act, or you're not acting, or you take too long to act. And deliberative people just have to explain, right? They just have to say, look, I do act, but I take my time to make sure I take good actions. That's all. So if you're hearing these types of things, this is an indicator that you are in an environment that is not welcoming your deliberative strength muscle. So there's nothing wrong with you. It's that you are flexing that muscle in an environment that doesn't appreciate it. So what do? We go get ourselves into a different place, a different environment. Or in that particular environment, we just kind of suppress that strength and use other strengths that are maybe a little bit more accepted or received. That's how we'll kind of navigate or cope that environment. But what's ideal is that you're in an environment where you get to use the strength and people are acknowledging you for it, right? They're saying, man, because you thought through this and took the time, we made an excellent decision for our company. We really appreciate the fact that you thought through all the things that could go wrong and the impact, and we made a great decision so that, you know, those things didn't go wrong and didn't happen. Okay, so like I was saying before, when they communicate, they may come off as a bit more introverted, quiet, careful, cautious. They are going to pause before they speak. And when they say things, it's going to be very pointed, very intentional. They might even say something like, hold on, wait a minute, let's think through this. And they show a lot of sensitivity towards privacy and confidentiality. You can kind of tell who these people are just by the fact that they will never share with you like someone else's data or history or what's going on with someone. They keep anything that has been told to them very confidential. So when you're speaking with these deliberative folks, it's important to be thoughtful, to take your time, to show the sensitivity, you know, to take them seriously and show them that you take them seriously. You always, you know, gravitate towards, you know, talking about the realistic things, the factual things, the things that ground people in decisions, rather than, you know, like being overly emotional about the topic.
I gotta say, that third bullet from the end, the avoid surface level topics, I hate that. I hate when you're like talking about nothing.
Yeah.
It's like,
and some people have that art. They have that gift where they can just socialize and talk about surface level things, but that all people can kind of connect with. Where, you know, a deliberative, especially an intellectual deliberative, is going to be like, I want to talk about neuroscience.
Yeah, there's like,
you know, gravitational pulls.
Yeah, it drives me nuts. I think it's probably the most out of every. It's just like, I don't want to talk 10 minutes about nothing. Like this is, there's nothing, there's no substance to this conversation. Let's won't talk about something that matters.
Yeah, it's just not interesting. Yeah. If you are working with a deliberative person for the first time and you just need to engage them and get them talking and sharing, which is a challenge because they are so private, here's a couple questions that you can consider asking them. I wouldn't say the top choice for deliberative people is to go into sales. However, that being said, it is essential that deliberative people learn how to influence and to get other people onto their side. So there's some things that they can do using their own personality to get those types of results. You know, when they're out there asking thoughtful questions, helping others understand that they will protect their confidentiality, or they'll protect their systems, or, you know, protect them in some way. That is extremely, it's a way to build trust strongly with someone that you want to partner with, or, you know, purchase something that you have to offer, or to work with you on a collaborative initiative that, you know, you really need them to take ownership over. So just offering that support, and letting them know that you are there for them and that you will help them predict the risks, you will help protect them, you will help them understand not only how to deal with the issues, but also to prevent them in the future. Okay, you know, sort of using your predictive and anticipation type strengths.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Sales is not, like, I've been in sales, it's not my favorite thing, but I can convince people to, you know, buy something, you know, sometimes it's just by sheer force of logic. And then other times I'm very effective as kind of that wingman component. Somebody else just kind of got that wooing or the positivity that just generates excitement. And then I come in when they seem to be on the fence, and then I kind of slow down the conversation, talk about look at the logical reasons for doing this, you know, and then that oftentimes would seal the deal.
Yeah, and I could see where that actually like would be really effective, like as a sales engineer, because that's kind of what you expect the sales engineer to do, right? Is to be the more grounded, logical, practical, system-oriented person that gives you everything you need to understand why you would want to buy this product and how you're actually going to implement it. So I like the way you said that, being a wingman to the, the business development person that loves to go out there and meet all these new people and bring them in and show them the product. I feel like one of the greatest experiences I had with a deliberative person, he was actually a leader of mine. He was so deliberate he was a deliberative relator, and he was so deliberate in building the relationship with me as his employee. And I felt like that won me over to his side to support him and to, be a part of his movements and the things that he was trying to do. So I feel like that was a natural influence that he had. But it was really about relationship building. Now I'm a relationship builder, so I appreciated that. And I just thought he gave us very deliberate gifts. He had very deliberate conversations. He was, just very considerate and caring. And that to me went a very long way, to get on board with him. So just another example. Okay, so if we're gonna try to sell to and influence to a deliberative person, good luck. Good luck. You need to definitely provide facts. You need to take your time. You need to be very thorough about all the pros and all the cons. What it's going to do for the business, how it's going to help them prevent risk, what it's going to stop. You got to go through it all. It's going to be a very deep process of analyzing and factoring things and, making a very good decision with them. Okay. All right, if you ever have to get into an interview and you have deliberative as a strength, these are some great points to create some buy-in with this new person that you're talking to. Just show consideration wherever you can, show care and consideration. That's, just writing thoughtful and nice emails before, during, and after the interaction, asking those meaningful questions, obviously being deliberate in your approach, which means getting to know them, getting to know what they're looking for, and what the company stands for. Sort of planning ahead for the discussion, again, shows that deliberativeness. You can really explain, some of the methodologies you've used or some of the tools that you've used to think through your decisions, make good decisions, and how those decisions impacted the teams or departments or companies that you were a part of. Okay, if you're trying to identify whether someone is deliberative or not, just ask yourself, do they seem kind of serious, reserved, and private? Are they maybe risk averse, a little cautious? Again, this would be really hard with someone like Ben, who's also got strategic, because then you're going, no, he leaps, he's intuitive, he jumps at things. And you're like, yeah, but sometimes. And then you'd be like, sometimes he does this, sometimes he does this. I don't know which one he is. Well, he's both. And then the words below are the ones that really turn on those little engagers in a deliberative brain. So anytime they hear these words, they perk up and want to know what's going on, want to listen, want to be engaged, want to talk, or be included in the conversation. All right, if you have deliberative, you may take longer to make decisions. That doesn't read well. So you know what I mean? You may take longer to make decisions than others, especially big decisions that you are making for the first time. So it's important that you stop for a second, share your process and your thoughts. and how the determinations will impact the bigger picture, so others understand why you are so thorough and why you take your time. It's also important for you to find that balance between taking the time to make good decisions and generating action, because it can also be a bad decision to take too much time. So others might be ready to move forward before you have finished your due diligence. This is where you can find some compromises when you're working with others to allow them to move forward and get going on certain aspects of the project, but then to also finish your analysis so that you can then validate whether we're making the right decisions or not. Both steps are necessary. Take action now to get started and do the due diligence. You may be inclined to withhold praise until you are absolutely sure that someone deserves it. When engaging with others, though, it's important that we err on the side of giving a little too much recognition rather than too little, because honestly, most deliberative people don't give nearly enough recognition or acknowledgement to other people. And it's not because they don't think highly of them, it's just they are so deliberate that they want what they say to really have weight. And then we've talked about, just making sure people understand if they don't think you're taking action quick enough. You may not care about being popular, but this could be a top priority to others. So it is important to respect and acknowledge the benefits that come from putting some energy into perception. And maybe partner up with somebody who can, create that image that you need at times when you need a perception of yourself to be received. All right, here are the things that I've listed that I think, we should do to collaborate well with a deliberative person. You've heard most of this. How about the deliberative people on the call? Do you feel like there are certain things that other people do that you really appreciate it when they do it, and it makes you want to work with them? Are Ben and I the only deliberative people on the call?
I'm reading through the list.
I've always appreciated having somebody on my staff that was that woo type, that type that can bring people together. And I didn't have to bother with that. I had somebody that was the cheerleader, if you will, for lack of a better term, cruise director, that would just, make sure that what we're trying to do, they were the rah-rah behind it and helped.
Yeah, that's so brilliant of you, Pete, to realize that's not something you want to do, but it has to be done. So you might as well recruit somebody's help that loves doing that and just let them lead the way on that. Super smart.
I think the thorough thought is important. It's on your list here, but instead of just being around people who are like, yeah, just do it, I don't care, whatever. It's like,
Yeah, that's exactly how deliberative feel. That's uncomfortable.
Where's that going to get us?
Like,
because who's going to be fixing it later?
Yeah.
So anyway,
I've listed, just some different partnerships here on the next 3 slides with the other strengths. So I'll let you guys read through these later, but they're just, just some recommendations or some considerations about, who you can partner up for what. Okay, so if you are in a relationship either with a friend or with a significant other, these apply to any relationships. It's great when the deliberative person plans ahead. I know my friends really love it when I plan a trip for everybody. They don't have to do anything. I just plan everything for them. You know, if you're in a partnership where you share finances, for example, you know, just making those sound financial choices can be so helpful to the other person. You know, being a sounding board for your partner is something that deliberative people do very well. And you don't think that really necessarily adds much, but it does. It's really helpful to people to help them make good decisions and get the results they want to get. Have you guys found that you've done something in particular in a relationship that you feel like was just really helpful towards the relationship with your deliberative strength? I know for me, just stopping people to have the discussion has really been helpful in building trust and building relationships. Just be willing to just talk about things and not rush, but just really be thorough and have a good conversation and make sure someone feels understood and heard. And then, you know, honestly, to take some sort of action after that is also helpful, continues to build the trust. Okay, for those of you who are leaders, just like Pete said, ask someone else to lead those social events. You know, make sure you're taking deliberate actions to build the relationship with each team member. You know, really thinking about what are the decisions that you need to make for the team. Okay, not only the individuals, but also for the team as a whole. Obviously, as a leader, you do have to maintain a certain level of confidentiality and privacy, which comes naturally to you. Also, you can ask someone to handle all those last-minute requests that come through. You don't have to do that part of your job. You can get someone to help you that's on your team to handle that stuff. Anybody else have anything to add?
I mean, I would agree with all of this.
Okay.
Especially number one. I don't do that.
Okay, if you're managing somebody that's deliberative, it's important that you show them that you trust their judgment. You know, I worked with some deliberative people when I was on the innovation team at Sabre. They were the researchers, and they really just wanted you to value what they were saying. They had taken a lot of time to go, you know, factor in a lot of different things to tell you what they were telling you. And if you kind of just was like, yeah, okay, whatever, they, you know, they really didn't feel like you appreciated everything that they had done to get to the points that they were making. Obviously, proactively ask them to identify the risks, assess, weigh impacts. You know, say what are our potential risks or obstacles that you see? How can we handle them? You know, asking them to do this type of work is great because they love it. They want to go do it. They're going to do a good job. Somebody asked me, I think it was you, Steve. I think you were asking me to, you know, to do this strength this week. Was there anything in particular you wanted to discuss about this strength? I want to make sure that you are getting everything you need out of this session.
Based on the number of folks we have on the team, is why I was looking at that. Not in my top 5. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you guys have a lot of deliberative people on the team.
Well, 2 here on this call.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, I had brought it up with Steve about being excited for this one when it came up and how it had gotten passed over once. So it was, that was one of the.
Yeah,
probably
that's great. That's great. Is it?
Yeah,
is
thank you
it-
so much for bringing it, Randy. That's
Of course. Yeah,
awesome
thank you.
sharing.
My pleasure. As always, this is my favorite slide because as a coach, I really love to try to help my deliberative people be successful, and just really understanding how they work, what they need to hear, how to frame things in a way that they take action on it or find it important, and then to also listen very carefully to them about what they're saying, what's important to them, what's not, the risks they're willing to take, the risks they're not willing to take. It's very, very important to me as a coach to listen and then be very deliberate about my way of, interacting and engaging them so I don't lose them, and so that I can continue to help them.
Question, how do you compare intentional with deliberate? Are those wildly different?
Yeah, I don't think, well, I wouldn't say wildly, but I do think they're different. I mean, to me, they are. I'm sure Brad's saying, yes, 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 they're different.
Yeah.
Because an intention, or I intend to do something, it's just something that you may do or you plan to do. You have good intentions. Where deliberate is, I have a deliberate action. I have a deliberate way of communicating. I'm doing something deliberately. So I do feel like the deliberative thing is a little bit more action oriented. Even when you're deliberating, you are very proactively thinking about the topic. Where an intention
Does a deliberate,
is,
sorry.
yeah, no, intentions not necessarily follow through.
Does a deliberate have the on purpose element of it more than the intention?
Oh,
Maybe is that the
yes.
differentiator?
Exactly.
Like, so each of those actions was on purpose.
So
Whereas
like,
intentionality is, hey, I'm planning to do this.
That's
I'm gonna do
it.
it this way. Yeah.
Yeah.
so like if I ignore you, I'm intentionally ignoring you. If I'm being passive aggressive, it's intentional. It is, for deliberative people, we are very intentional about everything. I mean, we are like, okay, we are doing something for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah. And that this is what I was saying earlier. It was very difficult for me growing up and realizing not everybody was. I took everything very personally and could not understand why some people would do certain things. And then later in life, I'm like, oh, they're not meaning to do that. They don't even have a clue. They haven't even thought about it. Like, that's not even in their radar. So it allowed me to be like far more compassionate, understanding when I started getting to know CliftonStrengths and understanding how different people really truly are and how undeliberative a lot of people are.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Here's a list of actions that if you are deliberative, you need to make sure you're taking every single week. If you're in a position where you cannot take these actions, that's bad. Your job should be requiring you to take these actions every single week, and you should be getting to do these things every single week. Okay, guys, we made it. We're right on time. I have 1 minute.
Yay!
Here's some books that I thought you deliberative people might enjoy looking at.
I think we can all get behind better decisions and fewer regrets, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as always, you've got the link to go take the assessment if you've never taken it. You've got the book or assessment is offered in many languages. You've got an app you can download on your phone. That the app is called Access. I know some of you haven't signed up to my web app. You know, it's $12 per year, and you just get tons of insights and additional information. So please feel free to go out here and navigate to Strengthologyinsights.com. And I'm actually going to be changing this. It's Strengthology.co moving forward. I'm shortening stuff wherever I can. But both links will get you there. And then sign up and get your additional insights. You just have to enter your strengths into the site. And also, I'm very happy and willing to work with you guys outside of these sessions. So if anybody wants some, extra coaching, let me know, and we can talk about what that looks like for you specifically. There's a YouTube channel that you can go to get additional insights from Gallup. I also have a YouTube channel that I'm posting this recording to, Strengthology. I think Leadership Insights is the title to that one. So if you guys want to watch these back, you can do that. I will post these slides out on LinkedIn today. And then 10% of everything I do in my business goes to Operation Underground Railroad, which is a wonderful organization to help people, especially children who have been human trafficked. And then I've updated the site here. So here's the different ways to get a hold of me. LinkedIn. I've got a website you can go out and look at my services on. I've got the web app, which has all the insights where you can enter your strengths. And then of course, my email that you can reach out to me. And I think that should be brandy.shade@strengthology.co. I have all kinds of mistakes on these slides today. Good Lord. So I'll fix that. brandy.shade@strengthology.co. Okay, any other questions about deliberative or anything we've talked about, or any other strength inquiry that you'd like me to answer before we get off the call today?
I just wanted to share how this was still very interesting to me. My deliberative is number 30, but it is teaching me a lot about how to work better with others and understand other people's strengths.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that key? I feel like there are levels that we go through. One, we want to know who we are, what we're about, what we're supposed to be contributing to this world, right? Number one. Number two, then we want to perform. We actually want to do a great job wherever we decide to go. Then all of a sudden, we've accomplished those things. We get interested in other people, and we want to collaborate well with other people. And you guys are, if you don't have the top strength, you're getting that by learning these different personality types. And then once we conquer that, we become a good teammate. We may want to actually lead in our particular area. And when we want to lead, now we work well with people, we perform well, but we don't know how to lead with our particular strengths. So then we got to go through leadership, strengths-based leadership training. And then finally, we may lead a department or an organization someday. And so then we're looking at, how do I actually, take a strengths-based culture through my department and my teams and my company. And that's, implementing strengths at a whole nother level. So there's many levels that I think we go through as we transition through strength intelligence, all the way down from getting to know ourselves all the way up to the top of how to help a whole, how to help a whole organization using strengths. Anything else?
Super huge thank you for sharing out the next rotation of lists so we can plan. So thank you for that.
Very welcome. Next week will be Maximizer, one of my favorite strengths to talk about. So I really look forward to bringing that to y'all.
Excellent. Thank you.
We'll see you next week, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.